Hey guys, it's Zenith Darksky here again. This video is going to be another Bleeding Edge video. I know some of you are probably a little sick of the Bleeding Edge videos, but there are some people that are still excited for the game, and there's even more reason to be excited for the game right now, and it's because a new character for the video game got announced before this next beta too. I don't know if that means he's going to be in the next beta. The next beta is going to be on March 14th. It's going to start on March 14th, I think go that weekend, just like the last one did, February 14th through the weekend. So we're going to check out some gameplay footage from Mekko, I think his name is Mekko. I haven't actually seen too much of him yet. I'm a little late to this party, so sorry guys. I know I'm a little late here, but we're gonna go ahead and shrink the screen and bring up the video and watch. Here we are. Bleeding Edge TV was the name of the video. It's on the Ninja Theory channel if you want to go check that out. But we're going to watch some gameplay for Mekko. So he's a dolphin in the mech suit, and that already is really crazy to me. I do know one thing about him so far. He is a ranged tank, which makes no sense to me. I guess Overwatch has ranged tanks. I didn't really think about that before, but I guess Overwatch has some ranged tanks, and so I figure that this is going to be kind of similar. Just a ranged character with a lot of health, lower damage output probably. It's got a little thing on its head to tell the mech what to do. All the characters, in case you haven't played Bleeding Edge yet, all the characters, like the suggested ones, are easy to learn characters. The ones that don't say suggested on them are medium tier. They take a little bit more skill to use, but not 100%. And then the advanced ones are advanced, you know, they're harder to learn. Okay, so his basic abilities are sonar gun, and that's his regular attack. You hold X or left click, I assume, to continuously fire on enemies. So like Zero Cool and a lot of the other ranged characters, you just hold it and it, you know, fires on the enemies there. Bubble block, RT. Protect yourself with a bubble shield. Absorb damage, feeds power orbs, which is your passive. Okay, so you've got a little shield, a bubble shield. I assume it goes out around you, but we haven't seen it yet. We're about to watch and see. Power orbs, absorbing damage. This is a passive. Absorbing damage with bubble block generates power orbs. Hold RT while casting specials to expend orbs for extra effects. His specials are lifeline. Connect a lifeline to an ally. Mekko takes 40% of their incoming damage. Press RB to wind the ally in with an orb. You grant the target a shield. Okay, basically what that one's gonna do is kind of like Zero Cool, where you know there's a healing stream kind of thing, except this stream is just gonna connect the ally to you through via a lifeline. You're going to take almost half of their damage, 40% of their damage for 8 seconds here. I don't know if that's cooldown. I think that's how long it probably lasts. So for 8 seconds, you're gonna take about 50% of their damage. You're gonna press RB to wind them in. So if they get too far away, you can bring them back to you, closer to you. I don't know if I like that. If it's a smart player doing it, then yeah, it could pull you in. But if it's a fucking troll, like you know, some May players on Overwatch, where they just put the fucking wall up anywhere they want to because they think it's funny, that might be used to hurt you. I don't know if I like that, but we obviously have a beta to go through for them to test this character and everything, so some of these things may be changed later on. I don't know. Safety zone. Mark out a safety zone that grants Mekko and his allies armor and lifesteal. So I guess there's going to be like a circle zone on the field where allies in that and Mekko get more armor and they get lifesteal, so when they're doing damage, life returns to them for however much damage they're doing. Now with a power orb that reduces healing received for enemies inside the area. So when enemies jump in, if you use a power orb, say Zero Cool runs in with them or is just outside the field and he's healing them, they'll actually receive less healing. So that is pretty cool. So far it seems like he's kind of a support tank, not really a ranged tank, a Zero Cool tank, because Zero Cool's ranged, but he's healing. You know, he's meant to heal, but he can do a little damage at a range. It kind of feels like this guy does the same thing, just without healing, but more support kind of thing. Surge forwards, knocking enemies in your path. Okay, so you just basically, it's like a charge, and you hit enemies out of your path. With Power Orb, you also generate life while traveling. So for 13 seconds, you could really heal up. Okay, he's got two supers here. Sonic Barrage. Barrage enemies with Sonic Blast, dealing heavy damage and pushing them back. Almost like Lucio from Overwatch. Just sound comes out, dealing damage and pushing them back. It says dealing heavy damage, so we'll see what kind of damage that does in here. An exclusion bubble traps an enemy inside a bubble. Bubbled enemies cannot take damage, but their team can destroy the bubble. I guess they just have to, they're just trapped. Maybe they can't shoot or anything either, but it's not clear there whether they can shoot or do anything outside of it. They just can't take damage. I would think you would want to bubble them so that everyone can focus that one person and they can't do anything about it, and you can kill them real quick. But it would balance it because their team could still destroy the bubble, but they can't take damage. I guess it's just a trap where they can't move or anything, but it doesn't say that because it says bubbled enemies cannot take damage, but their teams can destroy the bubble. It should say bubbled enemies cannot take or deal damage, but their team can destroy the bubble. If that's the case, we'll see what it is. I don't like the writing on that. I don't like the explanation on that, but we'll see what it does. So we're here in the dojo now. He's got one of his supers. He's got the Sonic super built up. Water. He sprays bubbles out of the bottom. That's fucking hilarious. Okay, so I guess that's his version of the hoverboard. 2 power orbs. I don't know. I feel like you should have at least 3. Be able to get 3. Doesn't do great damage. Does about as much as Zero Cools, probably. I think maybe a faster fire rate. Maybe not. Maybe about the same. That would explain, that would kind of help out with the whole ranged tank idea right there. I didn't think about it, but that would help out with the ranged tank idea for sure. Because a ranged tank, you would think, okay, ranged character doesn't get in the mix, but a ranged tank should take damage, right? Because they're a tank. They're meant to try to take most of the damage. That actually makes sense because even staying out of the fight, he is taking some of the damage for his teammates by lifelining an ally. So that does actually make sense in a way to why he would be a tank. I kind of feel like that's the main reason he's a tank, is so he could take his teammates' damage for them. And like he said, you could do it for a healer. That would be a neat little synergy type situation there if it's the tank, you know, if the tank is getting, maybe he has 1 DPS with him or something like Damon or something beside Mekko, and the healer too. And so he needs to protect the healer, so he's, you know, he's lifelining the healer, Mekko standing back, Damon's doing most of the damage, and Mekko standing back supporting while we have Zero Cool in there healing, or Mekko or whoever, healing Damon and healing Mekko back. So it's kind of, that'd be a neat little synergy type situation there.
And it puts you out of danger, which is very helpful.
That's interesting. That I was really hoping it pulled slowly. That just pulls them out of danger. I don't know how I feel about that. There could be a moment that you're chasing someone and someone thinks you're going to die for chasing, but really you're about to kill the enemy or something, and they're just like, no, you're going to die, and they just assume, and they just pull you out. You know, that's something I can see. If you're playing with randoms, at least, I can see Mekko being annoying on your team. I can see him being a good character so far. I don't know. That kind of scares me. That ability scares me for sure.
Really like pull
Jesus. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, so I was right about that. That's your mount, basically.
So now he's armored, and also he has life steal now.
So far, this seems like a really good tank. This seems, just because of that alone, almost, I want to say this is one of the better tanks in the game already. And this is going to be one of, like, this is going to be the meta tank to be using. Because say you're playing the domination mode where there's still 3 points you have to gather, or even the power cell mode when they're putting the power cells in there. Zoom in with your mount or whatever, put that thing down, your team runs in, gets on the point with you, and as long as they're dealing damage and your healer is staying on top of healing as well, and he's got his lifeline on the healer, that could really be, that could be a neat situation, because then at that point you guys are healing for all the damage you're dealing toward the enemies. Now obviously if they have a Mekko too, it's going to be a neat little situation there. It's going to be weird. Everyone's just going to be healing and you know, healing and hurting each other at the same time. You're not going to get anywhere. So 2 Mekkos is going to be a situation. But I actually can see this. I can see this working pretty well for taking over points and stuff like that. That's very interesting. Unless they nerf it or something, or we don't know how much it really helps with at the moment anyways. I think Mekko might be a little OP in a way. He'll be the meta for sure for like go-to tank. Okay, so Ram doesn't last 13 seconds, so we know that's cooldown for sure. That answered that question. So Surge is interesting. It does damage. It does a decent portion of damage. It pushes him, but it doesn't push him as much as I thought it would. That would be a good attack for, like, say your team's behind you. You're all running to point B. You're all rushing B. He surges in with the team behind him, drops his safe zone. Team runs in on the safe zone. He's pushed the enemies off the safe zone a little bit, off the point a little bit. He's, you know, everyone's healing for the damage they have. Hopefully the healer's in there doing their job. He's lifelining the healer. You know, the DPS aren't running out too much. They're staying in a safe zone. That way they can stay healed up and stay good. Because if you're facing the whole team versus another team, it's going to be a hard situation for the healer to really prioritize characters to heal. Especially if everyone's splitting up pretty good and kind of having their one-on-one 1v1s and stuff. So the surge kind of pushes them all away, opens it up for the team to run in behind them, get on that safe zone.
Platform and use it, he will travel like completely horizontally. So you can use it to do some cool like traversal stuff as well.
And then you can...
That would be interesting to run in. There's one map where there's like a bridge over the point. Be interesting to move around and then drop onto the point with that surge ability. And you know, when he drops, I think it would push them away. I'm not sure.
Drop you in.
That's actually pretty interesting. I could see that getting some people killed, but say it's a really good Damon player and there might be just like 1 or 2 people on the point. He could drop them in over the point. When they drop down, he's attacking Damon is attacking the enemies, getting the attention on him, and when he does that, you drop down, drop your safe zone with Damon, and throw your lifeline on him as well. If it's only you two for some reason on the point or the team's still catching up, then that could be a really neat way to, you know, initiate an easy 2-piece, you know, an easy 2-piece, maybe 3 people or so if it's a really good Damon player, you know. So that is very interesting.
How to play Mekko yet? We're still kind of getting to grips with him ourselves.
Well, I just told you how to play Mekko in Ninja Theory, so there you go. Okay, so you have the little shield bar in the middle right here that goes down as the more you use the bubble shield, and over here above your health bar, it adds armor as health on there, but it goes down over time. It might go down too fast. No, I don't think it goes down too... I was going to say it might go down too fast because a couple hits... Well, I don't know. A couple hits from, like, Nidhogger. Going to shred that still pretty quick. Especially since it's running down by itself. But it would help. It would help, for sure. It would really help if you surge in. Like, you know, this strategy that I keep bringing up. Surge into the point. Bring your Damon. Say their team starts rushing in before your team actually gets there to back you up. Drop your zone like we've talked about. Surge in. Bring Damon. Drop Damon. He starts attacking these 2 people. Team starts running in. Enemy team starts running in. Drop your safe zone. Drop down above the team. Or above the, you know, above Damon and everything like that. Drop that safe zone on the point. Make sure Damon stays with you. Throw your bubble shield up just to take some more extra damage while you're doing the lifeline thing as well for him. And so that's allowing you to take a lot more of that brunt force, a lot more of that damage for, you know, a short period of time there. And I would assume maybe we could use this ult too to push the enemies back if it gets too overwhelming in that situation. But we're going to see how useful that ult is, I'm sure, in a minute. Also using the power orbs for, you know, making sure the enemies can't heal as much when they are in your circle, when you're taking the point for that specific strategy. Or use the power orbs for the lifeline ability, or, you know, all those things. So the power orbs could be helping during that. I'm really liking the sound of Mekko so far. Okay, so the shield recharges slower, and you take a little bit of damage if the shield breaks or gets down. So right before they hit your 800 mark, basically with the shield, you probably want to let go of that shit. If in that strategy, in that specific situation that I keep bringing up. See, so that mini bubble shield would help Damon in that specific situation, but we're going to see what else would be good with that strategy. Okay, so if you use the lifeline thing, bring them to you. So you could still drop him in, and just before you actually drop him in, hit the shield, hit the power orb, give him a shield too. If you're doing it on top of a bunch of enemies and your team's not caught up yet, or that would be more of a strategy if your team's right behind you, they're just not in there yet with you, to give him that extra damage before your team gets there to back you guys up.
So now, I believe any enemies within this area, as you can see, they have reduced healing from their support classes.
Yes, it's a bit of an anti-heal, because obviously, you know, Bleeding Edge is quite melee focused, so...
Pretty cool. I don't know if I like the fact that they added an anti-heal in just to add an anti-heal. I understand that it helps balance it a little bit, but here's the thing. A lot of the healers aren't doing so much healing. There were a couple situations that Symphis ran into where there was enough healing that no matter how much damage he would do to certain characters, as Damon, by the time he got back in to attack them, if they ran away for a second, they were healed up. So I can kind of get it, but at the same time, I don't really know about it, because if it's a good team and you're a good team, you're fighting a team with a healer, a lot of the times the good teams, I noticed when I was playing the beta, the really good guys would focus the fuck out of me, the support. There were games that I died a lot. I died a lot because of people just focusing me, and that's not. I'm not mad about that. That's a good thing. That's a good strategy. Kill the healer so they can't get their heals, and then eradicate the team from there on. sooner or later you're going to get to the point where you're fighting good enough teams or people are good enough, smart enough to be focusing the healer. So I don't know if an anti-heal was necessary. Anti-heal might be necessary for the beginning when the game first drops, but then eventually it's going to get to a point that it's just like they'll just kill a healer first and go on. And you just have to hope as the healer that your team's good enough to protect you. Or your Mekko's good enough to throw the shield on you or lifeline on you or whatever. Or get you the fuck out of there if he needs to. I don't know how I feel about that yet, but we'll see.
So
you heal about 20 damage a second with the surge using the power orb ability. And that's interesting. That would be one of those situations where you're just, your team dies and you're just trying to get the fuck out of there. And, you want to use one of the power orbs kind of selfishly, and that's okay. That would probably be the best situation to do that in. But I would still probably try to, if you're going to play this character, if you have any interest in this character, if I were you, I would definitely try to just use the orbs when your team use it to help your team. But if there's a situation where you need to get the fuck out of there because everyone else died or is almost dead or, something, and you're just like, you know what, let's abort it, we'll group up again when everybody respawns and we'll try to hit this again, that would be a good tool, because that's 20 healing if you use your lifeline while you're doing the surge and you bring your healer out of it with you and he's healing you too. That's a lot of healing that you're basically healed up by the end of that surge. That would be probably the best thing to do with that, is drag your healer out real quick if you guys are losing, if it's just a bad fight and you need to just recuperate,
Yes, sonar.
Okay, so it doesn't push back as hard as I thought it would. It's a very slow push. It would still be good in terms of that strategy that I was talking about, where you drop the Damien in, lifeline, orb protect him, drop down, and you want to push the team away while your team catches up. That would be pretty useful still, to push them back, aim and just kind of push them back, keep them pushed back. Zero Cool runs in, walls them off, so then they have to taper out instead of all at once around the sides of the wall, or if it's Damon's over the wall. But still, that would be a very decent strategy for pushing a point. Doesn't do much damage, and it said it did heavy damage. That's not a lot of damage. I know he killed Zero Cool right there, but they were low anyways, low health. I mean, he did it on this guy for about 2 seconds when he respawned, and look at his health. I like that it doesn't lock on. I like that you have to direct him yourself. That makes it a little less than OP. Say that there's enemies coming to your right. It's kind of hard to switch targets when locked on, so that ability would kind of be a nuisance. So I really do like that you just direct that, you don't lock on. I didn't think about that. You could push them in front of the train with that, if the train's coming. If they're an enemy with an evade skill or something, they'll probably be smart enough to get out of it. The one map where the 8.A, I believe, moves around the map through the static fields and stuff like that. We've gotten in some pretty hairy fights where both us and the enemies me and Symphis we're playing it very risky next to that static field. If it's one of those situations, Mekko surge in, push them against the static, and then keep them pushed against the static.
So the bubble has a little health bar there because the enemy team can't pop that straight away. The exclusion bubble has a little bit of health, so it takes them a little while to pop that bubble.
I didn't think about using that exclusion bubble for the healer specifically. You could also do it for the tank, the other Mekko, if there's another Mekko. Like I was saying, in that strategy, pushing the point, dropping down with Damon behind you, lifeline, all that kind of stuff. If you didn't push the enemies away, if you had the exclusion bubble instead, you could use that to stop their Mekko if they have a Mekko too. Because like I said, that could be pretty hairy. 2 Mekkos right there, they both drop their safe zone and stuff. They're doing identical things. Then both enemies and allies are just kind of stuck there healing back and forth and stuff. Assuming they're both pretty equally matched teams and everything. So that exclusion bubble, if you got in first, use your exclusion bubble on the other Mekko, while you're killing the enemies right there. That could be pretty useful little tactic for that strategy specifically. So that's not bad. Like I said, they need to word that differently. They can't do any abilities or anything in the bubble. It doesn't say that. It says that they can't take damage, and it almost sounds like it protects them. Obviously now we know that's not the point of it. It seems at face value like that protects them. I'm just saying that's something some players wouldn't think about. Okay, so you could bubble them, push them in front of the train, or in front of an environmental hazard. That's interesting. Push them off the map or whatever. I can agree with that. He is sort of a troll, and like I said, though, that could be bad, because if you have a troll player, like a Mei player on Overwatch, one of those troll Mei players on Overwatch, you could easily fuck up your team on purpose just because you're mad at them or something by lifelining them and pulling them somewhere, pulling them off the map even, because you could surge around off the side of a map, pull them off, and then, get back onto the map before it's done. See, Zero Cool's healing you. If you lifeline Zero Cool, then that's good synergy right there. He lifeline 0 cool because he was getting hurt.
There we go.
Nice.
It did prevent him from dying right there, and they got the kill on Demon. Or Damon. But I will say that that lifeline didn't last. The lifeline thing doesn't seem like it lasts long. I would maybe extend the time of lifeline. I don't know if that was just him. Maybe you have to hold it or something, and he didn't. Just enough to stop him from dying. And I mean, that's really all it takes. I would say it needs to be a little bit better than that. But, you know, that's just me nitpicking right now. I obviously haven't played him yet, so we'll see. Okay, so the bubble, exclusion bubble, will interrupt anything that the enemy is doing, so that would be neat for some certain ults and stuff. Exclude them real quick while they're doing it, and it interrupts it, and it's good. It's Gucci. Ult's gone. Boom, they wasted it. So that's actually pretty interesting. That could be really fucking annoying, though, dude. Mekko sounded like a really annoying character for your team or against your team. So we gotta watch out for Mekko. It's seeming like Mekko is going to be a very annoying character in general. Like they said, a trolly character. Now that could be bad for you on your team, but that could also be good. But that could be bad for the other team. You know, that's definitely seems like one of those characters like May or something in a way where it's going to be annoying either way. But at the same time, it has its uses and it could be useful. Like I said, with that one strategy, the push strategy, we'll call it the push strategy on this channel here for this video. But it seems like that would be very useful for that specific strategy. If you guys have any strategies or anything like that you could use with this, let me know in the comments below the video here on YouTube or Reddit. I post these videos to Reddit as well, on the Bleeding Edge subreddit and on the Promote subreddit. Shout out to you guys that come over and watch my videos. I appreciate you guys. I see you guys. Remember to hit that sub button if you like the content and if you like everything else happening. Remember to like the video if you like the content here. And like I said, leave a comment on strategies, what you think of Mekko, or what you dislike about Mekko. And yeah, share the video around. Get your friends some knowledge on Bleeding Edge. And I'll see you guys in the next beta, March 14th.